Your foam rolling routine sucks. Do this instead. This follow along routine is perfect for anyone looking to decrease pain, relieve tension, and increase flexibility. In 10 minutes, you'll feel more relaxed, more mobile, and ready to take on the day. I'm Dr. Chris, owner of Trident Elite Healthcare and retired Navy SEAL, and I have helped thousands of people incorporate foam rolling into their daily routine. So let's get started. Before we begin, I'd like to go over a few tips and pointers so that you get the most out of your foam rolling experience. Of course, a couple things that we need to cover is where are you going to foam roll? Ideally on a hard surface and not something like a carpet, although you can do it on a carpet. Hard surface is generally a little bit better so that you get even amount of pressure when you're foam rolling. Also, in terms of clothing, ideally you'll want some athletic wear, nothing too loose, because I have found that if you have loose clothing on, then you may actually roll on the folds of the loose clothing, and then your clothing gets bound up while you're trying to roll out, and then you have to undo it, and it just makes for an uncomfortable and more time-consuming experience. The goal of this video is to get through a foam rolling routine in 10 minutes so that it's easy to incorporate in your daily life without taking too much of your time. There's a couple key concepts that I want to provide you with, again, so that you stay on track with your foam rolling and don't feel overwhelmed by trying to fit it into your day. Probably the most important one is consistency. You can do foam rolling every single day. We're only gonna do 10 minutes. We're gonna spend about 30 seconds per body part. We're gonna do roughly 10 body parts so that we get full body routine in 10 minutes. And there's no problem with doing that daily. So consistency over pressure is more important. Another important tip is to breathe, making sure that you're breathing, and specifically I want you to focus on the exhale of your breath, breathing out nice and slow and paying attention to that breath. The reason for doing this is because the exhale, specifically slow exhale and pausing at the end before the inhale, increases the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest, relax, digest system. So it allows the muscles a chance to actually relax. If you're breathing too quickly or focusing more on your inhale, you're gonna increase your sympathetic nervous system, which is gonna tell your muscles to contract harder, and you're not gonna get that relaxed feeling that you're trying to get. The last little tip I wanna give is to always start from either top down or bottom up. And there's no specific reason for doing this other than it just keeps a nice even flow so that you don't get distracted, you don't get lost in the process. Because remember, we're gonna be doing each body region 30 seconds, we're gonna time it, and we're gonna go from one to the next. If you start from the top and go down or the bottom and come up, it's easy to remember where you're at in your flow and to follow along and get it done in 10 minutes. Now that we have those quick little tips out of the way, you have a place that you're gonna do it, you're wearing the proper clothing, and you know whether you're gonna start from top to bottom or bottom up, we can move into the actual foam rolling. A very important part of foam rolling is the foam roller that you have. There are tons out there, and there's really no right or wrong foam roller. There are preferences based on the individual and based on what you're trying to accomplish. For this full body routine, we're gonna cover rolling the spine as well. That's why I use the IntelliRoll, because it's the most versatile foam roller out there that I have found. What I mean by that, with these foam rollers, there's a cutout for your spine, and the ridges on the side are actually hitting the muscles and the fascia, which is what we're trying to treat in the first place. You also see cutouts on the sides here, which makes it a little bit better, more comfortable when trying to do things like lats or your legs. And there's also, it rises back up on the edge, which makes it good to do things like your psoas and hip flexors, things like that. So it's just a very versatile foam roller as opposed to a foam roller that's the same size all the way across or has ridges that press on the spine and just make it generally uncomfortable. They have two different types at IntelliRoll. They have the Max, which is a very rigid foam roller. So if you prefer deep tissue and you really want to get in there and knock it out, this is going to be your friend. And then they have the Pro. The Pro, you can also get deep tissue as well. It's just a little bit more pliable than the Max. So for those people that find foam rolling uncomfortable, generally speaking anyway, this one's gonna allow a little bit lighter pressure. Now I'm gonna show you ways that you can increase pressure, but this one will give you a little bit lighter pressure to make the foam rolling experience more comfortable. I've included a link in the description below where you can contact us to receive discount pricing on your IntelliRoll. That's only available through the link in the description below, so click that link if you want to get discount pricing on an IntelliRoll foam roller. Let's get started with foam rolling. When using the foam roller, give yourself plenty of headspace, especially if you're going to start at your neck, which is what I prefer to do. I start at the neck and then I work my way down from there. So I want to make sure that I have room to roll down my back and into my glutes, and we're going to be rolling that way. So you want to make sure you have plenty of clearance to do that. Okay, so I'm set up, I'm at my neck, I'm ready to go. The other reason I say to start at your neck with this particular foam roller is because it's easier to tell that your spine is centered in that groove and that the ridges are on the muscles the way that you want them to be. I've set up a 30-second timer on my watch so that I can go through each of these and stay on track with the 30 seconds. I'm gonna talk while I do these, okay? So when using the foam roller on your neck, it's very simple. You're just gonna put it on your neck and you're gonna flex your chin, your chest, and then look up and back. That's gonna do just your standard vertical roll, but then you can also do spans where you're saying no. You're hitting the muscles side to side. You can roll to one side and then do yeses. You can roll to the other side and then do yeses. That's 30 seconds, so we're gonna move on and go to the upper back area. When doing the upper back, clasp the hands behind to support your neck and just simply raise your butt off the ground and then start the roll. At this point, you can keep your arms tucked like this, bring them out, extend them back, and just roll back and forth. If you find an area that's particularly painful, roll side to side, move the arm around. You really just want to work that fascia in different planes, okay? So that's 30 seconds right there. And then we split this up, so you're gonna just keep rolling down. As you get to the lower thoracic and into the lumbar, you're gonna wanna come up onto your hands and just kind of hit that lower lumbar multifidus area. You can drop your butt and then gently lean back into it. This one, you're just gonna kind of roll side to side, very gently. You're hitting the multifidus, the erectors, the QL muscle. You can also come on one side and roll out on a side, and then go to the other side and roll out on the side. Okay, so now I'm down into the glutes. So from here, I can do one side at a time, move to the center and be really aggressive with the glutes. Rolling all the way to the bottom where the hamstring attaches and all the way up to the top. Switch over, do the other side, or you can do both at once, like this. Just depends on how consistent you're being with it. If you're being consistent, you can just do a little bit at a time each day, and that will be fine. Next, we're gonna do the hamstrings. So again here, because I have these ridges, I can just simply start rolling out there. I'm gonna scoot down just a little bit more because I've rolled up pretty far. Another method, I'm gonna stop the clock here for a second. Another method is you can just start right behind the knees here. you're in the groove, so you can hit both at the same time, or you can move a leg over and stack and get more pressure on one side, then do the other. Roll back and forth 2 or 3 times. You're just trying to move that fascia around to increase mobility a little bit. From there, you can move into the calves, start at the ankles, and again, just move back and forth a few times. Again, you can stack a leg on the center to get more pressure. Okay, you can turn your leg out and hit that tibialis anterior muscle. You can turn your leg in and get more of that posterior tibialis muscle. So again, a lot of different ways that you can maneuver this. Once you're done with that, you can come up to and do your upper body. So you can do the forearms a little bit, just going back and forth like this. You can do one at a time if you feel like you need to. You can also do triceps. There's a couple different, I like to extend, so have them extended, but then also flex the bicep and get them that way, increasing shoulder mobility as well. Same thing, with all of these, you can do one at a time, go to the center, and that will increase the amount of pressure. Flip it over, turn your foam roller on a 45, and then start doing your biceps as well. Flip it over, roll out the other one. After you've done that, you can move into your lat, roll onto your side, same thing. This time you're gonna wanna lift up and roll out back and forth, really hit that lat really well. Roll to the other side. I'm gonna flip around this way. Roll to the other side, do the same thing. Okay, after that, we can do the pec. It's gonna be a little bit difficult because I have my mic right here, so I'll just do the right side so that you can see it. Same thing, come on an angle with the foam roller. I like to bring a knee up and get in and do the chest, the pectoralis muscles really well. Okay, do that on both sides. Okay, so now we've done the whole back side. We've done front and back of the thoracic region and upper body. Now we're gonna move into hip flexors, quads, and the rest, okay? So, get into quads. Again, I move the foam roller to my knees, and you can hit both quads at the same time. Or, again, you can stack legs, hit one at a time, and increase the amount of tension. Do both sides, couple rolls each. If you find a trigger point or a very sensitive area, stop at that point and just twist side to side until it's a little less tender. Or you can do just very short rolls in that area. Okay, you're gonna wanna get the hip flexor muscles, so scoot out to the edge and take the edge of that foam roller and put it right into your front hip pocket, into that psoas muscle. You can turn your body a little bit on a 45 and really get into that psoas and hip flexor muscle. Move the hip around so that you feel like you're really getting in there. Switch it over, do the same thing on the other side. Okay, now I've already hit my tibialis anterior, but another way that you could do it, especially if you have shin splints and you want to focus on it, is get up into this stance right here, this position, and really hit out that tibialis anterior, which is where we commonly feel some of our shin splints and things like that, especially if you're a runner, you know what I'm talking about. All right, so I went through that pretty quick. I didn't go through every single one, and I also talked through that, so it may have been longer than 10 minutes, but if you're keeping it to 10 regions, 30 seconds a region, you're gonna knock this out in 10 minutes. And if you do this every day, you can, you'll notice the benefits from it. You'll just be more relaxed. Again, if you focus on your breathing, you'll be more mobile, you'll increase range of motion, especially in shoulders and hips and things like that, and you'll decrease overall muscle tension. I encourage you to dive deeper into some of the science behind stretching versus foam rolling, when to foam roll, when to stretch, in my other video right here. So if you want to learn about the differences between stretching and foam rolling, check out that video. We'll see you right there. Click on that video.